Everybody, it's Ryan from Pi Records, and I'm here with Jason from the Surf Hermits. How are you?
Doing great. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ryan.
It's a pleasure to have you on. Um, got surf music, and one of my favorite things that you reference in a lot of your songs, Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, tell
Yep.
me why you reference Star Wars.
Well, uh, I don't know. It was just tied in with how the record sort of came together creatively. I was, I wanted to start working on some surf music, and I mean that in itself is a deep thing because of all the things that seem to be tied to surf music, sort of punk rock, um, psychedelic stuff. There's so much. It's a weird meeting ground of cool music. Anyway, um, I had just started on this project, and right after I'd written, I think the first tune, I watched the second season of The Mandalorian, and
Yeah,
some of those desert settings and all of that stuff. It kind of blew my mind actually. So a lot of the tunes are really out of like the first one or two episodes of that second season of The Mandalorian. Just watching that, a lot of the titles are drawn directly from scenes in there, and I
totally.
always like that. I like that kind of cinematic. For me, music is, especially instrumental music, is very cinematic in its intent. Sometimes,
Yeah,
So, for me, the album is almost a soundtrack to some of those visuals. That I enjoyed so much.
yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. Um, so tell me a little bit about how the Surf Hermits started, who's all involved, and what do you have going on right now?
Well, I mean, in a sense, it's almost like a classic pandemic project. Looking at it from the outside, but um, uh, the band itself really at this point uh, is almost kind of like a surf Steely Dan or something like that. It was really started as a studio project. Um, I've been a musician for many years. I've been a session player. I've toured tons. So I've always had my fingers in a lot of musical pies, and I have a lot of great friends that are great creative collaborators, and I'm working on a kind of a return to forever style jazz fusion record with someone right now, and just finishing off kind of a metal project, and you know you name it, it's probably getting worked on. But this project, because of the restrictions on travel and all that kind of stuff, I really wanted to do something where I didn't have to rely on other people. And I don't say that because I found other people reliable. It's just I didn't have access to them in the same way, and it's always been something, as a producer of music, like I'm always at the mercy of who I have sitting there, you know putting out their musical energy for me. So
Yeah,
I really wanted to be able to work on something where I had to crack the whip on myself in a sense, and play everything, and conceive it sort of start to finish, perform it, all of it there. Having said that, as a band itself, now that there's a body of work, I have a whole second album almost complete already for this. I've got some great players ready in the wings, so live is going to be, it'll be an even more exciting unit for sure. So it's one of those things that started as a solo thing, but I think it'll be a neat collective of cool musicians as a live project.
oh, that's really awesome. Uh, where are you located right now?
I'm in Creston, British Columbia, which is a very small town of 5,000 people in the mountains of southeast British Columbia, which from the American point of view would be just just north of the Idaho Panhandle. It's about a 20-minute drive to the border from where we are.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
Yeah. So surfing obviously is not something that one does around here, except skiing and snowboarding are kind of the surfing of here, and for me, like as a kid, I always loved, like when I would ski, I would always have like the Hawaii 5 soundtrack or something like that running through my head, as I'm skiing down the hill. So to me, I really see it as the same sort of vibe. Or skateboarding. I was an avid skateboarder as a kid as well. So
very cool, very cool. I love your background, and I want you to show us a little bit about what you have in the background of your room, and tell me a little bit
Sure.
about what we
Yeah.
can see.
I wish I could take you on a tour. Where I'm sitting right now is on 20 acres of total forest in the mountains in this little studio that we built. I live across the road. This property that the studio is built on was the property where I grew up as a little kid, and my parents still live in a house on this property. But I moved. I lived in the sort of capital city of this province for about 15 years. That's where I had more of a professional music career. But here when I moved back here after, I had a son and everything like that, we decided to build a studio because there was a lot of projects happening. So anyway, we built this building. I'll just sort of pick up the computer. I'm tethered a little bit by wires, but it's about 17 by 30, and you can see there's that spiral staircase in the background there. I'll get
Oh
my head
yeah,
out of the way.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's upstairs too. Um, but this is kind of the main working area. You can see the drums back there. We got a Fender Rhodes and a whole bunch of crap. There's a skateboard over there and amps. Another kind of workstation over in behind me. Let's see if I can. That's kind of
Oh
the
yeah.
main console there. And I'm sorry for anyone that I'm making nauseous here. A couple of tube units, pretty basic, simple setup, but it's served me quite well. With this equipment and related stuff, I've done a couple of major label records for other people, and very various bits and pieces. But as a sort of personal writing and recording rig, it's really sort of evolved itself to whatever I tend to do.
Is there
But we
is
have a
there?
lot of old guitars. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, is there anybody that we might know that you
Pro-
recorded?
probably not. My main sort of work professionally was done kind of in the late 90s, early 2000s for various projects out of England. In probably 95ish, there was Virgin Records in England. They started a new label called V2, I think, and I don't know the full history of it, but what I'd heard is that Richard Branson, who was kind of originally involved in record companies and stuff, wanted to start an indie label again. Indie.
Yeah, yeah.
There were some big budgets there, but one of the bands that I was involved in as a live project, they got signed to that for quite a large deal, and what we had actually recorded their record even before the contract, but they took that record as is, sat on it for a couple of years. I don't think they released it, but it was quite an education in the music business. How much money they'll just pour down the toilet. It's crazy. Yeah. But the name of that band was the Love Babies. You could I don't know if you could find it online or not, but I'll send you some if you want to hear it.
Awesome.
That project, a lot of big projects sort of orbited that project, which was pretty cool. But
Very cool. Now you were gonna show me your
yeah,
guitars over there before. I didn't want to cut you off.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing too fancy. There's my main one. I'm a Telly addict.
Me
It,
too.
yeah. Um, we got a ES335. Uh, this kind of interesting bass, which is it's a Fender Stuart Ham Signature Series bass. Again, probably from the 90s,
Stu
but
Ham.
extensively kind of reworked. And actually, I had it somewhere. It's hanging on the wall. I won't be able to really show it to you, but I've got the pick guard from that bass signed by Stu Ham. He actually came by here. Um, cool old, cool old Fender Music Master, and some other guitars kind of hiding back there. My dad's first guitar that he got when he was stationed in Vietnam in 1969. Someone sent him a guitar. That's where he started
Oh
playing. So
wow.
yeah.
So culminating all this equipment throughout the years, you've learned to play all these instruments. I'm assuming to play your own music that you recorded yourself.
Yeah, I I'm primarily a drummer. So that's what I've done most of the time. In that process, picked up a little bit of bass. I enjoy playing that a lot, and have done that with some bands just as the bass player. Guitar was something that I never really picked up until probably about 10 years ago. One of the other things I've done a lot of is study martial arts and teach martial arts and all these types of things. But at one point in this martial arts school that we had here, we realized that like 5 of us in there were all musicians, and we're like, hey, we should start a band like everyone does. Let's do a punk rock album, because we were all into that. However, the concept here is that we're all going to play instruments that we don't know how to play. So I got to